The Tombs of Amascut. They say you suck ass. Well, I'm here to teach you how to take ass. No more will you be dying in every room like a clueless baboon. Behold, the King of Gamers has come to bless you with divine knowledge. First, my boy, we gotta get you geared for this adventure. There are many different setups you could choose for TOA, so don't let King Condor tell you.
You can't run TOA if you don't have a fire cape and 20 million in the bank.
I'm here to help you find the easiest setups to learn the raid for the first time. I want you to know that once you get the mechanics down, you can run this raid with very, very minimal gear. I once ran this raid on my base 70s iron with an RCB, regular void, and an inventory of potatoes, because kings don't farm. The first setup is going to be easiest and best for players who find it hard or tedious to switch a lot of items. For this setup, we're going with Elite or Regular Void, RCB, or Dragon Crossbow if you got it. Use Ruby Bolts E or Dragon Ruby Bolts E respectively. Optionally, if you're running low level, the Sunlight Hunter's Crossbow with Moonlight Antler Bolts is surprisingly amazing here. Trident of the Seas or Ivan's Blast if you're an iron, and then the Karis, Zami Hasta, or Fang, latter options being the better. Don't be afraid to run with the Karis, as it holds its own in 150s, and eventually you'll get a Gem of Amascut which upgrades the Karis to be just under the Fang in terms of performance. You want to pick up a Dragon Defender from the Warriors Guild, and the best Ava's device you have. If you have a Fire Cape or Imbued God Cape, bring those too. Otherwise, a Skill Cape or Artie Cape is better than nothing. You can camp Dragon Defender and keep 3 or 2-way swaps depending on your cape slot choice. Or you could bring a Malediction Ward and Odium Ward if you want extra damage and accuracy with range and mage. From here, you have a few options. If you want the raid to be more forgiving while still keeping as little swaps as possible, bring a Blood Fury. Alternatively, you could bring a Cult Necklace for your mage swap and camp Fury or Bone Crusher / Dragon Bone Necklace for insane prayer bonus if you find yourself needing more prayer. Don't let people gatekeep you on the accessory slots. If you don't have the money, just bring a Glory. It's perfectly fine. Just camp that the entire raid, and as long as you master the mechanics, you'll be just fine. Same goes for the ring slot. Bring the best ring for stats that you can. I would recommend you try to get your hands on either a Brimstone ring or preferably a Ring of the Gods Imbued for the insane prayer bonus it gives. This will help newer players make more mistakes without getting smited and crapped on during the raid, especially if you don't have great DPS. Finally, I would recommend using Dragon Boots for the entire raid, but Guardian or Brimstone Boots work fine too. If you're an Iron and you got nothing, bring some Climbing Boots for the extra +2 strength bonus. It's worth mentioning for those who really don't want to care about prayer at all. You could bring Devout Boots for an extra +5 prayer bonus. These boots, along with the +2 from the Elite Void, +12 from the Bone Crusher or Dragon Bone Necklace, and the +8 from the Ring of the Gods Imbued, will practically make it so you never have to sip prayer pots during the raid, because after each boss fight, you get a full prayer restore. Finally, though not necessary, it is very helpful to bring some spec weapons. If you have any form of defense reduction, such as Thaumarin Scepter, BGS, Bone Dagger, bring those to drain the defense of Zebak, Kephri Shielded, Unshielded, Baba, Warden's Obelisk, Warden's P3, and Warden's P4. Also, bring a DDS if you can. It really helps speed up Warden's P2. It's the highest DPS weapon to kill a core with if you sip an Adrenaline. And with that, your setup should look something like this. Sweats may call this cursed, but you know what? They're sweats and we're not. You don't need anything more than this to complete the raid. Keeping swaps to a minimum is extremely valuable for new players. But if you're more comfortable with swaps or you don't have Void, here are some alternatives. Camp Nita's Not Helm for your head slot. Bring Fighter's Torso or Obby Legs for melee. Mystic or Blood Bark for mage. And your best D-Hide for range. Personally, I prefer Elite Void with the good accessories and weapons because it performs very well while keeping swaps to a minimum. But so long as you have the right invocation selected, you can pretty much bring whatever you want. Speaking of Invocations, if you want the easiest 150 raid possible with low stats and gear, I've got you covered. Don't worry, baby, Daddy provides. There are always options if you're struggling with a certain boss invocation, but I highly recommend keeping the path invocations off as it increases the stats of enemies, making the raid harder to complete with low-level gear and stats. The invocations I've enabled are mechanics that are very easy to learn and adapt to, but if you find them difficult and your stats are quite high, say 85 to 90 plus, then go ahead and try turning Walk the Path on so you could disable some of your problem invocations. I'd like to note that More Overlords is a very easy invocation since it just adds 2 more large scarabs to the Kephri fight, so it's definitely optional here, but I tend to find the raid much quicker and more relaxing with it off. It's much easier to stay alive in Kephri's room when there are less overlords you have to deal with. I'm happy to go into greater detail on what each of these invocations do and sort of explain why I chose them for the easiest TOA setup, but there's a lot to cover in this video and I want to keep it as short as I can. So if you'd like to see that, like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. But for now...
Sip your brews, me laddies, for we be venturing into the dusty, dark, dirty, dank depths. Yarr! Our goal be to slay first the mighty lizard. Yeah! Then we pierce the poopy boy. Yeah! After that, we banish the naughty ghost. Yeah! And only then can we slay the monkey. Yeah! And once it's all said and done, we may enter the heart of the tomb itself to challenge Amascut's guardian and claim our booty!
Entering the first puzzle room to the right, your job is to water the plant in the center of the room till it's full. Grab a pot and run to the fountain to get water. Be careful not to get hit when bringing the water back or you'll spill half your water. A tip here is if you stand behind a spike and long click, you won't take any damage from them. But the poison can still hurt you, so be mindful. Entering Zebak's room, your job is to hit the lizard while praying against its attacks. Damage for this boss is calculated the tick the attack actually hits your character. So if you want to, you can flick it, like this. Don't stand next to each other out of practice because his blood magic that saps your health periodically can splash onto your teammates, making the damage worse. When you see 3 little blobs spawn, make sure to move around them. If you walk in a rectangle shape, they will die before reaching you, which is what I find to be the easiest. Other than that, all you need to worry about are the special attacks. The deadly one. Zebak will spit rocks, acid, and jugs all around the map. You need to push the jugs into the rocks to break them and wash the surrounding area clear of acid before roughly 10 seconds, or the big lizard will scream you dead. Some tricks to be aware of are 1. Stay calm. Look for the best solve and take a second to move carefully over, avoiding the deadly acid. 2. You can right-click pull the jugs if that's safer. 3. You can shoot the jugs if you're quick with it to blow the jugs up near rocks that wouldn't have collided in the first place. 4. Jugs only roll about 10 tiles or so if it's the only solve, make sure to shoot the jug as you're running to it because it won't collide with the rock, meaning he scream, you dead. The second special attack is far easier to deal with and you shouldn't be too stressed about it. Zebak shoots acid and jugs around the map before summoning 3 large waves to wash you dead. Avoid the acid or shoot some jugs to clear up some space, making it easier to navigate to the openings in the waves. If you choose to shoot Zebak while moving, be aware of your weapon's range, because you could drag yourself into the water and he wash you dead. Once Zebak is down to about 20% of his health, he will begin his enraged phase, where no more special attacks will come out. So long as you focus up and don't get smited, this part is easy. Just pray correctly at 2 times speed and you're all set. And finally, with one last bolt, he cry, he dead. Talk to the spooky bookie, and then...
We're off for the poopy boy! Yeah!
Sorry about that. Entering Kephri's path, you'll need to solve puzzles to reach the doorway on the other end of the room. Once you complete a puzzle, you will move through an agility shortcut to the opposite side of the room. Use this information to avoid this puzzle. At the end of the path, you'll need to uncover all the tiles and match them together with their pair on the other side of the room. Once all the tiles are lit up, you'll be done, and you can enter the boss room. Now, for the poopy boy himself. To beat this boss as easily as possible, I want you to do 2 things. 1. Keep hitting him with the Keris while moving out of the way of the bombs, and always pay attention to when Kephri is about to poop. You can tell this by a swarm of flies around your character, and Kephri pausing his auto attacks for a brief moment. When you see him do this, you'll need to walk to the southwest corner near Kephri and wait for him to poop you back. Every time you see his poop happening, you want to get back to the next poop tile, which I'll demonstrate for you here. If you don't do this correctly, he will poop you dead. When Kephri shoots his eggs around the room, it's best to clear the one next to you so you don't get hurt when it explodes. After the eggs erupt, the room will be filled with little scarabs, which will each hit you with ranged attacks. Just pray range for the rest of the fight and forget about them. Once Kephri's shield is down, he'll take a nap and his big scarabs will come out. Keep prey range up for the entire time and kill the ranged scarab. On the second down, focus the mage scarab. Make sure to follow him and finish him off if he flies away, or he will blow you dead. Once he's dealt with, then you can focus on the remaining melee scarab and resume the boss fight. Upon draining Kephri's shield for the 3rd time, be careful because he will immediately hit you with a poop attack. Then, just hit him with the Keris until he dies, and you're golden. Head over to the Spooky Bookie, and back in the lobby, we'll pick up either Chaos or Life, depending on if you see Ambrosia and Salts together. If you're new, take Life. But if you're fine on supplies and have experience, it's better to take Power or Chaos just to get your hand on some Salts. Note that Salts are better the higher level you are. Once you've got your mid-rate snack, head to Akkha's room and pick up your pick. If your pick is bronze, well, you can get a better one in this room permanently by putting a pick in the cubbyhole back in the entrance of the raid. In this room, you'll need to direct the light beam by using placeable mirrors so that it hits the middle obelisk, after which you can begin mining it to defeat the seal blocking the entrance to Akkha's boss room. If you have 99 mining and a dragon pick with the boost, you can break the seal in 1 cycle, which really speeds up your raid times. Once the seal is broken, put your pick back in one of the statues and enter the boss room. Akkha may seem complex, and he can be the most intimidating boss of the raid, but once you get his mechanics down, he becomes pretty trivial to beat, especially because we didn't take any path invocations. This means his DPS checks are far easier to beat, and it makes the room take less time to complete. Upon entering Akkha's room, you want to be in either range or mage, whichever does the most damage for you. If you're bringing Sunlight Hunter's Crossbow and Elite Void, I'd recommend camping range as much as possible. Make sure to download this plugin and enable these settings. Doing so will show you visually when Akkha changes attack styles and what style he's going to now. Remember, he always prays the style he's attacking with. This allows you to pay less attention to the cycle, which goes melee, range, mage, and instead react to whatever color you see around him. Once Akkha switches from melee to range, he will become immune to range damage, so start attacking with mage or melee. When he attacks with magic, he becomes immune to magic, so use range or melee. When he attacks with melee, he is immune to melee, so use range or magic. This sort of thought helps clarify and simplify the fight a lot. Other than Akkha's autos, you will need to learn to deal with his special attacks, of which there are 3. You're black. Don't move, or black orbs will spawn around you, and if you step on them, you will take a significant amount of damage and a burn. You're yellow. Don't worry about this because it only applies to group fights. Just don't stand next to your friends because after a second, everybody blows up, dealing damage either cardinally or horizontally. You can only hurt your friends with the explosion, so since we have no friends right now, you got no one to hurt. Simon says, Akkha will disappear, and the symbols in the center of his room will begin to light up in a pattern. Once the pattern ends, follow the pattern you saw to avoid getting hit with floor explosions. Since we didn't level up the raid at all, there will only be 4 colors to remember, so be ready to go after the 4th color is called. Once you bring Akkha down a set number of health, he will protect himself with 4 shadows that slowly charge up a floor explosion. You will need to stop attacking Akkha and kill a shadow to avoid being hit by another floor explosion. I'm going to teach you something that you definitely don't need to know, but it's not too hard and it can save your butt, while also making you feel like a badass. If you stand on the inner corner of one of Akkha's shadows, you can completely avoid the floor explosion by stepping 1 tile towards the platform edge on the same tick the shadow has his spear in the air like this. It works 100% of the time, and it gives you unlimited time to deal with the DPS check. Once you kill the shadow, Akkha will become vulnerable to damage in that sector. Keep attacking him and repeat the process I've already taught you. Once his health is fully drained, he will revive for a final stand. Pray magic to reduce the damage the white orbs deal, and swap to melee. Focus on safely moving to Akkha. This is more intimidating than it needs to be. So long as you understand the movement and tick system in OSRS, you can do this phase completely damageless. Keep hitting Akkha while avoiding the orbs and following him when he teleports across the room. Don't forget to use your supplies if you have them. It's use it or lose it. After a panic-inducing final stand, you should have beaten Akkha, talked to the spooky bookie, and we're finally ready.
Left from home we all stood tall. Can you hear Big Baba's call? For treasure and booty are in those tombs. So all these monkeys have now met their doom. We stopped the monkeys in the ground. We stopped the boulder rolling down. Wear their guts like fancy clothes. Turn their bodies into balls. And in the end I'll eat a bean. We're off to slay the Monkey Queen.
Baba's puzzle room is by far the hardest to deal with, so make sure you're ready to handle 1,000 monkeys, swapping between different attack styles to deal with each one. Let's go over things to make it simpler. There are 6 types of monkeys you'll have to deal with. Melee monkeys, which come out first and are weak to mage, range monkeys, which come out second and are weak to melee, mage monkeys, which come out third and are weak to range, shamans, which will spawn thralls who can bite you and join your prayer. Once they spawn the maximum number of thralls, they will begin to mage you. Shamans are weak to range. Volatiles, which will chase you around the room and explode after a second upon reaching you. I recommend always paying attention to them and trying to set them off so that they kill their own monkey friends. This will help you deal with hordes without bringing splash weapons like chins or ancients. Cursed monkeys. These monkeys are unaggressive, but they will wander around leaving deadly venom on the ground. This is why you need to bring anti-venom into the raid. They are weak to range and magic. Try not to shoot them as they near the center pillar, as they can wrap around, causing your character to run after them, which often gets you killed. The waves are going to look like this. Wave 1, 2 brawlers, 1 shaman. Wave 2, 2 throwers, 1 volatile. Wave 3, 2 mages, 1 cursed. Wave 4, 2 throwers, 3 specials. Wave 5, 2 mages, 1 shaman, 2 specials. Wave 6, 2 brawlers, 1 shaman, 2 specials. Wave 7, 1 brawler, 1 thrower, 1 shaman, 2 cursed. And Wave 8, 1 shaman, 2 volatile, and 2 specials. During the waves, you will occasionally see either the vents light up or the pillars light up. When they do, you need to either stand over a vent and click on the green potion, or go to a pillar and click on it while having the hammer in your inventory. Failing to do the correct action within roughly 10 seconds of the action being called will result in you losing about 40 health. It's worth noting that if you're in a team, only one person will be able to see what task is being called. Additionally, in teams, the sight will be passed between players every few tasks, and the cursed task is added to the mix. If you see your teammates glowing red, you need to type DD and everyone meets on this tile while you spam click the green potion. This will cleanse him of the curse and you will all avoid taking damage. Once you're done killing monkeys, it's time for the big one. Baba is weak to stab and vulnerable to bolts as well. So both are viable depending on whichever does the most damage for you. Once you enter the arena, pray melee and begin smacking that big monkey around. Baba will not be able to hurt you so long as you have prayers up, so you should camp melee the entire fight. Baba will occasionally drop boulders from the ceiling on tiles where you stand. Move out of the way but stay near the boulders that appear because you will need to be standing near one when Baba decides to throw her boulder in the air. If you stand next to a boulder or a casket, they will tank the damage for you. Baba occasionally spawns dark fire under your feet, which you should run diagonally from, since it gives you an extra tick to respond before taking damage. Be aware that Baba can use this fire attack right after the boulder throw, making you guaranteed to take damage if you position yourself badly. Try to always stand on the corner of the floor boulders so as to be prepared to move to the other side in case of a double special attack. Baba will occasionally spawn thrower monkeys, which you can deal with by shooting once each with your crossbow. They can be one tick, so be quick with it. Finally, the last thing you need to deal with is the boulders. It's worth mentioning, my personal favorite strategy for dealing with this is the Baba Boulder Leap, or BBL for short. It basically involves the entire team going rightmost boulder no matter what, and sprinting to the top, where you will shoot Baba with ranged attacks. But it is basically only possible in cracked out 8-mans or on leagues, so for now we're gonna have to do it the boring way. Once knocked to the bottom, quickly swap to range and find the weakened cracked boulder. Shoot it and run through. If the next boulder is in the same or adjacent columns, quickly shoot that one and sprint to the top of the map. If you pull this off, you'll get to shoot Baba with range for the rest of the phase with your protection prayers off. If you get unlucky or mess it up, just play it safe and start shooting the weak boulders as they come to you. It's better to play it safe and have a longer fight than be cool but dead. Life is no fun without BBLs. Something else to note is try not to let the monkeys open the caskets on the sides. If they do, it becomes slightly more dangerous in the arena, as the caskets will randomly shoot bolts that deal substantial damage. If you keep yourself topped up on health, it's usually not ever a problem though. Once you've slain Baba, pick up the big banana and talk to the spooky bookie. Then, back in the lobby, it's time to restock for the main event. If you don't have salts, it's best to take them now. But if you're running low on health and prayer, you need to take life or chaos if you see ambrosias, band-aids, scarabs, or lots of nectars and tears. Take this time to clean your inventory and deposit anything you don't need for the final fight into the pot next to the ghost. Once you're ready, it's time to enter the Warden's boss fight. The Wardens.
Many a pirate fell to these ancient beasts, but have no fear, 'cause Captain Skitty's gonna get you through it. 'Cause you're my little swashbuckling, poop deck scrubbing, ghost expelling, monkey repelling pirate crew.
Run up to the spooky bookie and talk to him to begin the fight. Once the fight begins, stand in the way of the orbs on the left till you get hit about 10 times, then move away. All the while, you need to be attacking the obelisk with the most hard-hitting and accurate weapon you got. It's extremely important to use your BGS or other defense-producing weapons on the obelisk right now, since it has lots of defense and will drain your supplies quickly if not dealt with forsooth. This is not so important in large groups, but it's very important in solo. The damage this obelisk deals is partly why we don't level the raid up too far. Since we've offset the attacks of the obelisk, you're going to move out of the way of the red pyramids, and then when the yellows fly down, you're going to move out of the way of those. Or you're dead. Next comes the 2 orbs. Since we're in solos, you don't have to worry about any movements, just eat and tank as they hit you. In a group raid, you'll need to spread out for the first one and DD on the second one to avoid massive damage. Again, since we're in a solo raid, there is no way to mitigate the orb's damage, meaning it is vital to be hitting the obelisk as hard as you can, and equally vital to bring lots of healings to offset the damage you will be tanking. Once the obelisk is defeated, the guardian on the right will wake up, swap to magic gear, and start hitting him. He will either wind up like he's about to throw a baseball, or point his staff at you. If it's a baseball, pray range. If it's the staff, pray mage. Damage is calculated upon impact of the projectile. He will occasionally shoot either a white arrow, a purple orb, or a red spinning scimitar at you. Those attacks turn off your prayer immediately, and you must turn on the correct prayer before the projectile hits you. Range for white arrow, mage for purple orb, melee for red spinning scimitar. While all this is happening, you need to watch for the obelisk attacks. If you see skulls firing from the obelisk and shadows appearing on the ground, either run to an adjacent cardinal tile from one of the shadows or run away entirely. Don't panic, eat if you need to, and keep praying against the warden. Getting hit by an attack from the obelisk will turn off your prayers for a second and prevent you from turning them back on for a couple ticks. The second obelisk attack is the windmill. The floor will begin to light up before dealing damage in a pattern. Don't be in the pattern when the damage goes off, or you'll get hurt and have your prayers turned off. The pattern will begin to spin around, dealing damage every couple seconds. Try to avoid moving too much to stop the wardens from closing in on you, as he can hit you with melee if you accidentally get too close. The third and final obelisk attack will shoot lines of damage to the edges of the arena. The lines then expand and come back towards the obelisk. Move to avoid the damage from these lines, or you'll take damage and it'll turn your prayers off. Once you've damaged the warden enough to fill up its stagger bar, he will fall to the ground and eject his core. Use your DDS or best melee weapon and begin whacking it. If you brought an adrenaline potion, take a sip now to give yourself more DDS specs here. After a moment, the core will go back inside of the warden, and he will wake up with opposite prayers above his head. Now, you must hit him with range to fill his stagger bar. He will now begin throwing black orbs at you. If you don't move out of the way in time, they will freeze you, stopping you from taking any actions for a few seconds. This is really bad. Don't get hit by that ever. Other than that, there is no difference from what we've already done. Keep hitting the warden while praying correctly and moving out of the way of the obelisk and black orb attacks, until the warden goes down again and ejects his core. Every time the warden gets back up, he will swap weaknesses. It goes mage, range, mage, range, mage, range, and so on. Once the core is fully defeated, you would have beaten P2 and will be teleported to P3. Make sure to pick up any dropped items before you get teleported, or they will disappear. P3 wardens. Don't stress about this part. Just stand to the right, wait for the warden's floor attack to go off. Once that happens, move to the left. Wait for the right floor attack to go off. Then move to the middle and wait for the combo floor to go off. Repeat this calmly and begin cleaning your inventory between the floor attacks. No stress, just get everything ready how you like it. Pull out any supplies you need from your bag and drink up. Snort some salts if you have them, and when you're ready, begin attacking the wardens. He's weak to most everything, so use whatever does the most damage. It's worth noting that he does have a 50% elemental weakness to earth if you're using standard spells. Try to attack once between every movement to keep a steady rhythm. It's important to learn this so you don't get overwhelmed later on in the fight. Note that if you brought a BGS or other defense-reducing weapon, you can use it on the boss to make him easier to hit. After the warden's health reaches a certain threshold, he will spawn skulls around the room, which need to be meleeed quickly to avoid massive damage. You can one-tick these skulls, so be quick with it. After a few skull phases, Zebak will appear on the left. You need to watch him and pray against his attacks as they come out. Range for rocks, mage for jugs. After a few more skull phases, Baba will appear on the right and begin dropping boulders on the tiles which you stand. Make sure to move out of the way of the falling rocks before they hit the ground. The dangerous tiles will be indicated by a growing shadow. After the final skull phase, you will fight the wardens until he reaches 5% health, where he will restore 20% of his health and become enraged.
Clutch your pearls, cuz this is it.
If you have any ambrosia, make sure to have it ready for use at a moment's notice. The Warden will stop his floor attacks and instead begin summoning lightning at set intervals around the map. These bolts are indicated by growing shadows on the floor. Make sure to move out of the way before the damage goes off. Continue to pray against Zebak and move out of the way of Baba's boulders. The Wardens will begin to rip up tiles furthest away from himself, shrinking the area you have to work with. If you cannot kill him before he pulls you to last row, you're in for a world of hurt. Do your best to dodge the lightning and remember your prayers while sipping all the brews and ambrosias you need. It's now or never for your supplies. With skill, focus, and a bit of luck, you would have defeated the Wardens. Enter the booty room and claim your prize. If you're really struggling on certain room mechanics, I encourage you to go in by yourself, head over to your trouble room, and die a couple times. If you don't have any of the death limit invocations turned on, you let yourself die a few times in that room. Each time you die, you get a few honey locusts, which heal you and restore prayer. Use these honey locusts as infinite supplies to practice the room with until you have it all nailed down. Remember, there is no shame in dying in this raid. It is a very hard piece of content. Do your best, keep practicing, and the raid will get easier and easier. I hope you liked my guide on the easiest way to complete TOA. If you stayed this long, I want to thank you for supporting me in what I do. If you could drop me a like down below and subscribe, maybe share this with friends who you're trying to drag into raiding. All this really helps me out. I stream regularly on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. We often play with the community, so come on by if you're learning TOA and jump into some raids with us. This game is more fun with people to play it with. Thanks, and until next time.
Left from home we all stood tall. Can you hear Big Baba's call? For treasure and booty are in those two. So all these monkeys have not met their doom. We stomped the monkeys in the ground. We stopped the boulder rolling down. Where their guts like fancy claws turn their bodies into balls. And in the end I'll eat a bee. We're off to slay the monkey queen. Yeah! La 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 la, hey la 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 la, hey la 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 la, hey la 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 la. Hey la 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 la, hey la 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 la, hey la 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 la, hey la 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 la. And in the end I'll eat a bee. We're off to slay the monkey queen. Yeah!